report, the planning commission unanimously approved a variance. We're seeking the board's approval this evening. Pictures are worth 1,000 words. That's what makes this unique. This is a barn. And so the second and third floor of the structure is the totality of the living space. I think it's a 4-bedroom with large living area, large dining area, decks. So the issue is simply this. The town ordinances have a minimum footage on the ground level. Well, the ground level on this particular proposal is storage, mechanicals, a restroom, a laundry room, parking stalls, and all of the living space is on the second and third floor. So the town ordinance we needed a variance to the town ordinance. At the county level, this A2 property has already met their requirements. They've already been issued building permits and environmental fencing permits for the project, which lapsed. So this is a non-issue for the county. For us, it's a technicality issue because of the uniqueness of the project, renovating a barn. I've never seen that personally.
Condominiums are great.
If that helps you.
Yes. So, you need to make a motion then. Maybe you did, but I didn't hear it.
I think the motion's at the last sentence. Request approval of the variance.
All right, but you're gonna make a motion to the board here
Oh,
to accept or
I'm in that
reject.
position. I would like to, on behalf of the planning commission, make a motion that the Town of East Troy board approves the variance in accordance with the directives of the planning commission.
And adopt whatever hardship or whatever criteria the plan commission used to state that a variance is doable.
Have it?
I will. Second.
Is it comments?
I just, you know me, I always said, as long as we're not setting precedents, because I know they bring that up a lot, but is that something that is a concern? I think this is a great idea, I'm not taking that away, but if that's one of our ordinances, you know, where do you draw the line?
That's why I think you need to add the criteria that was considered.
That's no harm to the public.
That it already meets the county standards.
For a building permit.
I'm not against it, I'm just trying to bring
No,
up a
and
point.
to Jim's point, I think it makes it much clearer to anybody who reads it later as to why we approved it, if we state the reasons that it is being.
Well, honestly, it's more important for anything that gets denied.
I know.
Right.
The
that's-
third reason
that's-
is the party, Mr. Wilkins has, for a long period of time, years, has been consulting with our building inspector as to this project. And the building inspector simply brought to his attention the ground level minimum living space requirement.
I mean, my suggestion is you do it for both, but,
I think we were denied previously.
yeah.
Yeah. I'm sure they, one of the statements had to be, there's no public harm.
This is a large property and nobody's going to even see the house. Neighbors, nobody objected, nobody actually came to speak in opposition or anything.
Okay, so we had a motion, do we have a second, did I do that?
I second.
Or second, any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
I.
Aye, opposed? None. Right, thank you. Public comments period number 1. Anybody? John? I'll give you a 30-second warning.
Okay. Couple of things. It was a nice presentation by Brett, his wife. Are they going to, or somebody on the communications committee going to be incorporating in what was discussed discussed and what was voted on and approved at the annual meeting, where any group that uses this facility, that takes taxpayer money is going to be, using the system that's being set up now. So the Protective Recruitment Association does it because they're a closed thing with, $40 a year donations. But I believe the management district uses taxpayer funded money. They use this room here, so I don't know, is that being incorporated into the mix, like what was voted on?
That'll be finalized as we go.
Okay, I just wanted to bring up, just for a reminder, that's all. And then, for the, EIL grant that you're using for the, dockside improvement on the culvert there, is that, what is the percentage that the feds pay for versus what the percentage of the town pays for? You know that, Joe?
80% federal,
And we pick up to 20%?
correct.
Okay,
And
and,
that includes it also includes not only construction costs, but design, engineering, and construction.
okay, so pretty much envelopes everything, the whole.
It'll be like a state contract.
Okay, that particular bridge, I believe, was, last replaced, what, like 58 or 9?
67.
67, and then the one on Stearns Bridge Road was done,
I don't know what they're doing.
okay. I recently sent some pictures, to the county about the one on Stearns Bridge Road. There's several, nuts that are missing underneath it, there's some good rust spots on it. And I don't know if it would be a good time now to look at possibly, if you're gonna get 80% of the job paid for at the federal level. That's an old bridge too, cause I think that one is out of the late 50s, early 60s, cause there used to be a clear span all concrete bridge there that was a little bit further to the south from where it is right
Yeah.
now, like 25 or 26 feet or
Okay.
something.
So, what you're recommending is an inspection, and I think.
Yeah, an inspection on it.
How to do that.
If we can get the federal government to pay for 80%, but why wouldn't you wanna take advantage of it with something that's 50, 60 years old?
Well, yeah, there's still gotta be a reason to replace it.
Well, no, I go through it all the time, and I've taken some detailed pictures, and if you'd like, I'd be more than happy to forward them to you. And there's a ton of the nuts that are off, there's some that are half off, there are spots that where you can take a screwdriver if you wanted to and poke through, you know, and force your screwdriver right through the corrugated metal that's holding it up. And I figured if we're gonna get 80% of something paid for, we might as well.
80% is on a project, that's dockside, East Shore Drive, the roadway, the drainage issues.
Okay, but wouldn't that be considered the same type of a project, being on the same bridge type? that's
It'd be a
across?
different program, but in the future, yes,
Okay, thank you.
I see some additional bridge inspections in our future, Todd. All right, public comments, anyone else? Good. Okay, unfinished business, status of police garage project, well, you know, we approved Keo Henry to be our advisor when we take the next step here. The question is not, where are we at, the question is, when can we fit in another meeting? It won't be this month, and the question will be, when we get into July, how many meetings will we have for our next step of police garage? Probably a day or two there. In addition to our regular board meeting, and
Vacations.
all that stuff is still on. So, where we're at, I guess my status check is, where we're at is, we're gonna have an architect, Keo Henry, will tell them where we're at and look for advice on what is the best way to proceed. We started with a garage project, and then, the request was made to get a stronger numbers, so we ended up filling in the blanks as far as rooms and doors and heating systems and all that. So the question is, first of all, we know it'd have to be a bid project, it's gonna be over 25,000, but the question is how, to do it, and how will it look? Will it be better to maybe spread out that floor plan to one floor instead of two? All those questions, so that means a meeting, with us and the architect, John and Todd, to go through and say, okay, here's where we're at. So, unfortunately, we have so many other issues. Meetings coming up for the police deal, we're gonna have to have another meeting come up here for the Deep Trail Bridge. And we're also, there's another meeting here on the other.
So has Keeple Henry been contacted and
they already, been selected at a meeting
Right.
2 months ago. And I told him that it won't happen in June, I told him it won't happen in May or June, I said July, he says, whatever, he said, it's a night meeting and he'll fit it in no matter when we wanna do it. So, and this is like an hour or two, that's what we're gonna have there. So I guess that's the staff report, is we have, a lot of other things to take care of here.
So instead of a written proposal, it'll be a meeting?
No, we have a written proposal and a signed contract. It's basically just, it's architectural advisory services is what it is. So we have an hourly rate approved for the guy to come here and whatever we use them, whether it's a half hour or 3 hours, we would pay for that proposal. So, but I don't think we can set that right now. I think when we set our next round of police chief meetings, we gotta fit in either with them, similar to what we're doing, I mean, we're meeting with the police staff, an hour before the July meeting. We talked about maybe this proposal here, we just heard tonight, putting that in. So, we have a lot of meetings to decipher here, but, so that's the status. We just need to set a date, with the architect and then, proceed on what he recommends. So, was that, I didn't put that on there, who put that on there? You did? So that's,
Because those will carry over.
they answered the question, I mean, I kind of know that, okay. All right, new business.
Before you do anything on 10A.
Yep.
I think any approval is gonna have to be conditional approval and contingent upon the matter staying in the Lake Geneva courts.
Okay.
When I spoke with John earlier this evening, there may be a request that it be transferred from there. So then the district would have to reassign it somewhere else.
Who signed it in the first place?
The district judge always assigns, that first happened when, Judge Heidelmeyer put in his, notice of disqualification.
Okay.
I believe is what the form is called. It then went to the city of Elkhorn. But that court had to disqualify itself due to a conflict of interest. It then got sent down to Lake Geneva where it currently is, but it sounds like a decision hasn't been made yet, as to whether it can stay there.
Who changes it, or who can change it?
Either side.
Just like him.
Yeah.
So there hasn't been a request to change it already or not yet?
I just found out that there may be
Maybe.
one.
Okay.
I don't know that there will be one, but any approval, for Attorney Draper would be contingent on it staying in Lake Geneva.
Okay, then we need a motion to do that. Contingent on it staying in the Geneva.
I move we approve the hiring of Attorney Draper as special prosecutor for the judicial transfer matters contingent upon the matter staying in Lake Geneva courts.
Okay. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Michelle, second. Discussion, questions? Hearing none, on the motion, all in favor say aye. Aye, opposed? None. Okay, Kim, that next one, couple of years.
The young lady who was cleaning the town hall is getting married and moving up north. So our clerk of court, Miss Jen Olson, has agreed to clean for us. She would do it on Mondays. Typically Mondays. We were suggesting that you pay her $100 a week. Because she's an employee, she doesn't have to be bonded, because she's already covered by bond. We looked into an outside cleaning person, and to have them do what we need them to do here, they'd be bonded, and they charge $30 to $35 an hour.
No, $30 to $60 an hour is standard for someone that is a bonded cleaning person.
Yeah. So
So-
$100 a week is cheap.
We felt that it's typically a 3-hour job, we put that in like the $33 an hour range. There's taxes out of that as a current employee, and that would carry over to anyone else too. If Jen decides it's too much for herself, we've looked at other people that would be willing to do it, who would become town employees, because to get bonded, to just do one simple job, $600 a year, because I asked my insurance person, I said, how much does this cost if somebody wanted to do this? And she quoted me $600 a year. So for someone that's only gonna make, it's only gonna work like 150 hours a year, doing this, it doesn't make financial sense. So anyone that we would get, we would make them a town employee and pay them just a straight stipend of the $100 a week, and then taxes and stuff are taken out of that. Whether it's Jen, or if she decides it's too much with her workload, we find someone else.
When you come back, if Jen says she can't do it anymore,
Then we have other options.
Yeah.
We have other people that are interested. And we
So
can
we're
make
just
them
asking a
a
request.
would the town want to know who these other people are, the town board?
Well, they don't need to know that unless Jen decides
Right.
that she's done.
That's what I'm saying.
Oh, but then.
Yeah,
this would
at
be a
that
higher-
time, we would come back,
Okay,
yeah.
got it.
Yeah.
up until, Lindsay, became our cleaner. The previous cleaner was Ed Warden, and Ed was always an employee of the town for the years and years and years he did it. And prior to that, Bella was our cleaner, and she did it for years and years and years. She's also a town employee.
So we're just looking to, have you authorize a rate increase from $75 for someone that was a bonded cleaner to $100 a week. Because of the fact that we
Because
were to go
we're not
outside
gonna find
source.
anybody bonded for
No.
$25.
So how would you make that happen on a paycheck? How does,
It would be, I would put the amount in there separate.
separate?
Yeah.
All right, we
Does
need
it
a
change
motion.
your position at all, in terms of number of hours worked?
No, it'd be like an addendum to what she currently does. It would just be, she would clean, it'd be 3 to 4 hours.
3 hours a week
3
usually.
hours a week, yeah.
Is she currently already eligible for
Yes, she is.
retirement?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, won't get you over. Do you think, a separate agreement or an amendment to the existing agreement is better? Or you don't need it? at
I'll
all?
just walk around in court nights. Figure along the lines, whether she's doing a good job or not.
Yeah, do we have a list of what,
Like the things,
Services?
I've been working on one, I think it's always been like a word of mouth thing, like, hey, do this, do this, do this.
Yeah.
But I've been working on a list of things that
And
need to
there-
get done on a regular basis.
And there are a lot of times we'll, like, okay, the courtroom is pretty dusty, can you dust up there?
Yeah.
When we had the ferns in the windows, it's like, can you make sure that you vacuum and
Yeah.
clean out the bench by the ferns?
Clean out the garbage cans, you know?
Yeah, after an election, it looks like a disaster.
well,
so-
yeah, are there some things that are like annually that?
So kind of a job
extra?
description is what's being worked
Yeah.
on for that.
And it's kind of as needed, I mean, like, every week it would be the garbage, the recycling, the vacuuming, the
The
windows
dusting.
maybe once a month, like the doors and stuff in the front foyer. I mean,
Yeah,
just
bathrooms are,
what's needed, bathrooms, yeah.
Yeah.
So, it's pretty basic.
it's pretty straightforward, but then there are times where it's like, hey,
Little extras.
can you make sure you focus on this? Can you focus on this week? Can you focus on this? And we've asked the current cleaner, to do those things as needed.
Like, we have all the stainless now in the bathrooms, and that's a project just in itself.
That's why we got the hours from 2 to 3 when we got the bathrooms renovated, if you guys recall that.
Well, I don't know who your current cleaner is, but up in the courtroom, there's like bugs and stuff in those lights that have been there for
That's
months.
a DPW issue.
And they've been
And
asked
he's
to
raised his
address
hand
it.
back there, and they've been
I
asked
was
to
made, I
address
was
it.
made aware of that last week.
They've been asked to address that.
Yeah, and the spiders in my office.
But you can do it today, and there could be, Kim had 3 spiders crawling in her light one day. Everybody's home gets those.
Kim, are you this person's supervisor?
Am I what?
Supervisor?
Yeah.
Person.
Okay, we need a motion to approve.
I'll make a motion that the town board approve the hiring of, municipal court clerk Jen Olson for an additional $100 to be the town hall cleaning person 1 day a week for 4 hours.
Per week, 100 per week.
Right, you have a second.
I'll second.
Michelle, second, discussion, hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, none. Okay, liquor licenses and operator licenses.
Now, this is lovely. The reason we didn't get this spreadsheet earlier was because I was waiting on Lindy to get me her bartenders, and she never provided them. So that's why this was finished today. If you look at the last page, I gave my recommendations there, and I will read through them. The Hive Tap Room and Lakeville Yacht Club, all requirements are met. Hula Bell's Dockside, all requirements met, but need responsible beverage course certificates for Flish and beers. Beulah Bait and Boat, approved pending building inspection and fire inspection. Double D's is rebuilding, but we need to get occupancy from the building inspector and pass fire inspections. Lake Beulah Golf Club, remodeling, updating, they don't intend to open until next year. They would need to pass building inspection and fire inspection prior to opening. Lindy's on Beulah, I don't know, because there's a lot of issues there. And she did not provide any bartender's license, so she couldn't open after July 1st anyway.
Besides that, it's a normal one, right? That's a lot. Wow. Well, we do have a lot of different circumstances in all of these.
Ours was inspected by
Looking
Vince.
For a recommendation of approval, condition
Well,
on what you have listed.
I don't know, I guess, like Lake Beulah Golf Course, we don't expect them to open this year. So what is the timing? They haven't submitted anything, it looks like.
no, Lake Beulah,
Golf course.
Club. Yeah, they're number 2 on first page. They
Right.
paid, their taxes are paid, their publication fee is paid, they paid for the liquor license. They're paid, they can be approved pending
Building.
that I would release the license after they meet the building inspection and the fire inspection.
And does everyone's license go from July 1st to June 30th?
Correct. State statute.
So they already, Lake Beulah Golf Course already paid their
Correct.
2020
Correct.
July,
They paid their $500 fee.
Joe.
The Hive Tap Room, if you look, their taxes are current, which means they have until July 31st to pay this, they're coming up. They pay the publication fee, they have not paid the liquor fee, but their building inspection and fire inspections were good. Golf course, we already talked about. Beulah Bait and Boat, they pay, their taxes are paid, they pay the publication fee. They have not paid the liquor license, and I have not had a building inspection or fire inspection approval yet.
Vince came through.
Any other comments? What do you-
Vince came through and inspected, we're fine.
You have it?
But
Vince
I
did come,
not get anything from the fire.
yeah, they never called to set up something to come through. So we're waiting for Joe to give us a call.
Lindy's on Beulah. Taxes are not paid at all. Personal property taxes are not paid at all. They paid the $15 publication fee. No operator licenses received, so June 30th is it.
What does that mean?
What is the
We deny?
time?
Does that mean we deny, or if we get an application, or what does that mean?
If the town is intending on not renewing, it has to give notice to the applicant, and then they are entitled to a hearing.
Is there a
And
timeline on
for
the
the town board not to renew, it's limited by statute to the reasons why they're not renewing. And, one is the person has violated chapter 125 or municipal regulations adopted under 125.10.
Okay, and in the town ordinance, it says, no renewal of a license or an issuance of new license should be granted to any person who is delinquent in payment of any taxes which local property tax or personal property taxes, assessments or other claims owed to the town, including property taxes owed to the town by the owner of the property upon which the premises sits. Lindy does not own the property. John Tyson owns the property, or 1341 Beach Road LLC. So those taxes are not paid, that is one condition for denial.
If the town regulation is not in, that doesn't trump a state law.
You wrote it.
I also incorporated the statute.
Yeah.
Chapter 12510 says it can't be in conflict with the provisions of 125. Renewal under 125 says it can only be for causes provided in 125 sub 2 sub AG. That is, they violated chapter 125 or municipal regulations adopted under section 125, which means it has to relate to this chapter. 2, the person keeps or maintains a disorderly or riotous, indecent or improper house. 3, the person has sold or given away alcoholic beverages to known habitual drunkards. 4, the person does not possess qualifications required under this chapter to hold a license. 5, they be convicted of manufacturing, distributing, or delivering a controlled substance or controlled substance analog, and it goes on.
No mention of taxes.
No.
Is there a mention of building and fire inspection?
That's
In the
not,
town ordinance, it says.
in the town ordinance that's there.
Yeah,
And towns can put additional regulations on.
which-
But the standards by which a local authority refuses to renew, it requires notice and hearing requirements. And there's a couple others, there's 5M, 6, 6M, and 7, but those all deal with like, say, drug location, or someone's been convicted of distributing drugs from that area.
Is notice like 2 weeks or 30 days or?
The statute says, well, this is dealing with suspensions or revocations. With renewals, it says, any notice given has to be in writing, the reasons for the non-renewal have to be given, and the hearing shall be conducted as provided in sub 2B. A summons has to be filed, someone from whoever is not renewed has to appear before the town board on a day and place to be named in the summons, not less than 3 days and not more than 10 days from the date of issuance, and show cause why his or her license should not be revoked or suspended, and here it would be renewed. So we're looking at, before the end of the month, and depending on the number, they're all entitled to their own separate hearing.
The only one that looking at any denial though is Lindy's.
Yeah.
Everything else is,
No, I don't know what's on your recommendations.
I just read that.
He wasn't paying attention.
Yeah, this stuff, I mean, most of the other stuff is the normal, waiting on this or waiting on that. Usually we make an approval subject to that.
Depending, yep, to meeting their requirements.
Right. This one is a little bit different, so.
Does the
And
police,
beyond the fact of denying a license, without any licensed operators, bartenders, how is she gonna run a business? She has no bartenders.
No, I'm not questioning that.
Yeah.
I don't know if the reason for your recommendation was the tax issue, or the fact that we have a building inspector report that I don't think anyone
Well-
has seen. A fire report, is that one of the recommendations?
that's
I don't know if
right.
anyone's seen that either.
Yeah, the town ordinance says the town board will refuse to renew a license under this chapter unless the person applying for renewal becomes compliant with all directives of the fire chief or other safety directives regarding alleged safety or structural violations.
Right, but
We don't
without,
have any
right,
yet.
without those, they can't base a non-renewal decision on reports that may be forthcoming.
Right.
They would have to revert to the tax issue, and I don't know if the tax issue is related enough to chapter 125 that the board should not renew.
Does it sound like we need a hearing anyway? But we can't schedule that until we get these other reports you referenced, building inspector and fire inspector? To me, those still are in play, right?
Well, everything's in
No, per
play.
chapter 125.
Oh, those may be. It depends on what the report says.
So the town ordinance doesn't mean anything.
That's not what I said. I just explained it. Were you listening?
Yes, I was.
Well, it is confusing, John.
It is.
Does the police department inspect any premises with a liquor license? Is that part of?
They can under chapter 138.
So I've been looking at this town, chapter 5,
Right.
and I did see reference to state statute 125 and due process.
Right.
What else is in the mix here for our decision making?
That's it.
Alright.
You can't deny on things you don't have. The only thing you
What-
know for certain
It's a tax.
is the tax issue. And I don't know if that's related enough to chapter 125 to deny a liquor license for that location, but the operator's licenses, if you don't have a list of anyone submitted, I don't know how you can decide on that.
Yeah, I think we were looking at maybe is approving everything here except that one, subject to the notes or the requirements that Kim mentioned.
And I'm assuming the liquor license payment due date is June 30th?
Yeah, they have to pay for them before they can get them.
And submit the list of bartenders.
That's a whole different process. Those have gotta be
Pick your
background
safety
checks,
course.
safety course, pay the fee, yeah.
So Gila Bay and Boat haven't paid. What would we do tonight about that?
Would be contingent
That-
upon them
that-
paying,
Contingent upon
all the
change.
inspection stuff, yeah.
Cause they pay their $15 publication fee. They haven't paid for their operators or their liquor license. But you can approve it pending them passing their building inspection and the fire inspection. Cause I'm sorry, I haven't gotten anything from it.
We passed the building, we just haven't heard from the fire guy yet.
And I didn't get anything from Chief DeGardo about fire inspection for Villa Day and Boat. So,
Are you worried, given the day of the month?
do they have until the 30th. So if you prove it tonight pending that it passes a fire inspection and the building inspection, then once I get the stuff from Chief DeGardo and the okay from the building inspector, then they have to come in and pay, then I give them their licenses, and they're good to go.
And if they don't do all that by the 30th,
Then they have to close down, well, the police department would have to close them down June 30th at 12 o'clock PM.
It sounds to me that the town has no recourse for denial or beginning a revocation or suspension though, unless they fit into chapter 125.
Well, that's for renewal of licenses that have previously been issued.
Well, that's
And all
other
of these are
things.
renewals. All of these are renewals. Nobody's a new. Well,
So the,
golf club is being,
right.
that got sold.
So my recommendation would be renew all contingents upon the fire inspection, the building inspection, payment of fees, and required documentation. But with respect to the tax issue, until I can research it further, I don't know, I would deny based on that alone. Just because I'm not sure.
If you can do it.
Yes, and I don't know if any courts have considered a delinquent tax issue in conjunction with chapter 125 yet. I haven't researched that.
And quite frankly, I try to help them as much as I can.
She does.
Babysit these people like you wouldn't believe, to get them to get their stuff to me, pay their fees, to.
Yeah, I'm still waiting for this, I'm still waiting for that.
And Mr. Chairman, I would ask the indulgence to allow us to, if any of renewals are sitting out there, our ordinance requires in 5.05.02, parentheses 2, a business plan that the clerk has.
Those have been filed in previous years,
All right, so.
but I don't have anything current.
We have those.
They were, yeah,
Or
they were filed.
You'll need one from the golf course then if they're.
Yeah, because they're new.
So that's a one and done? For
It
that
has
one?
been.
All right, well, we can do a motion as Jim recommended, exactly as he recommended, or we could do these one by one.
Or, Jim, is that something as far as the fences that you could research before our next special meeting on June 27th? 2 weeks from today?
If authorized to do so, I could.
Like that.
And then do we vote on them all on the 27th, or do we?
I think we
I
should
don't know.
do the rest of them, to the ones that are good. Okay, why don't I'm gonna take a crack at this, okay? I'll make a motion that we approve the liquor and operators licenses for the Hyatt Tap Room and the Lake Beulah Yacht Club, since all requirements have been met.
Second.
For a second discussion, hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. On, Little Val's Dockside, I make a motion that the liquor and operator license be, approved, subject to the responsible beverage course certificates for Glish and beers.
Second.
We have a motion and a second, discussion, hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None. Okay, let me check these off here. I got the tap room, I got the new,
You're going in order of my third page, if you just follow that along.
okay, Beulah Bait and Boat. Make a motion to approve the operators liquor licenses, subject to the payment of the liquor license and pending the paperwork for the building inspection and fire inspection.
Second.
All right, we have a motion second, on the motion, all in favor say aye.